I'm about a month away from potentially having to put down one of the best performances of my life to be able to go to the Commonwealth Games. Can't rely on motivation, it's got to be structure. No social life. I'm joking. There's a slight social life. You can't be in this sport for the money. It's literally not possible. And I just remember one day we put the hard bar back on and I just wouldn't jump. And I don't know if it was a fear thing. It then got to the point where the actual process of jumping felt so alien to my body. I was getting up at 5 a.m, going to the track, going to work, then going to the gym or another track session, like every day, 6 days a week. All the fun happens before 1 a.m. Okay.
Welcome back to the Amateur Athlete Diaries with your host, Harrison Armitage. Today we have Lucy coming on, heptathlete and full-time architect, off the back of a long day today, as will normally be. But we'll get into that. But thank you very much for coming on. As is kind of tradition now, we start with a question. You work full-time in architecture, as we have mentioned, and compete on a national level in what is considered one of the most demanding sports in athletics. Can you explain what it takes to navigate progress in both of those sort of disciplines, I guess?
God, no social life. I'm joking. There's a slight social life. I think just like you can't rely on motivation, it's got to be structure, and you need to be goal driven in both areas. If there's no goal, it's kind of like hard to get out of bed on days where there is no motivation. But yeah, structure, routine is like the number one thing.
What does that look like practically then? Your calendar or habits?
Oh, I've tried a calendar before. So like I set my alarm the same time every day. I have the same training routine. I'd like to say I've got the same work structure, but we don't always leave at 5:30 and then you have to move things around, and I'm often like calling my coach being like, right, I can't train today. How are we gonna make it work? But yeah, unfortunately you do have to like I had to say to my boss, my job comes first, even if that's not always what I want.
Yeah,
Got to stay
yeah.
employed so that I can go back to uni next year. So yeah, set an alarm, I have a routine. I normally like on a Sunday, I know what I'm doing for the week. I've got it all planned out.
hmm So when you say goal is kind of the underlying factor, the what gets you out of the morning. So what are the goals in architecture and what are the goals in heptathlon at the moment for you?
So currently architecture is a really long degree, it's 7 years. It's funny, I always said I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't want to do 7 years in uni. And
I
now
was going to say, is that longer than
here
medical?
we are being a doctor of buildings. So yeah, so my goal with architecture is I want to get qualified as quickly as possible. Like a lot of people ask, oh, why don't you just put it off for a few years? And it's like, well, it's a 7 year degree. Putting it off for a few
Mm.
years makes it even longer. And currently I'm managing to balance both. So if I
Sorry,
make it
just for
work,
maybe the people that don't know, I've got a rough understanding. When you say qualified, well, what does that actually
right,
mean
okay,
in
okay, let me
that
break it
world?
down. So you do 3 years undergrad, like a standard BA
hmm
degree. And then a lot of people think that this is a placement year for me, but I have actually left uni. I'm now a part
Okay,
one architect. So that makes the whole process even more stressful because it's not like you're still with a uni and it just carries on. No, you have to
sure.
leave uni, be a big girl, apply for jobs. That was fun. Then you're employed for a whole year, or it can be more, it can't be less. So you need to do a year in practice to do
I'll
your
be there.
can't be less. In some situations, I think they can, like, if something went wrong and you were out of work for a few months and you wanted to go back to
Mm,
uni in September, I think they can make exceptions. But as a general rule, you need a year of experience between one and two.
sure.
So I just did a uni interview actually the other day, and I am planning to go back to uni in Westminster in September. I'm then there for 2 more years, which I'm actually quite excited to go back to uni, I can't lie. I love structure, but
Yeah.
I miss like the freedom of doing things when you want to do them. Like the workload will be the same, if not more, but it's more like you can do it
hmm
in your own time.
Yeah.
Because my poor coach honestly has to do such long days at Brunel waiting for me to finish work. But yeah, so then you go back to uni for 2 years and then you leave uni again and do another year working. And then it's one more year where you're kind of part-time working, going into uni to do exams. That's your part 3. So it's basically part 1, 2, and 3.
Mega.
So yes, it's mega.
Mega.
And I think I did tell myself I could potentially take a break between part 2 and 3. But there was no way I was taking a break between part 1 and 2. Like, I think if you don't go back to uni, in my opinion, straight after a year, I will never go back. So
get out of the rhythm of it almost.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
what does that look like on kind of the training side? Because obviously a lot of people, the kind of athletic sports is massive, right? But are you sort of doing that as well alongside your other training, or what?
Doing what?
Representing the unis, because if are you going back to uni, will
Oh,
you be
right,
training with them?
okay. So yeah, when I was at uni in Liverpool, I didn't actually train with the uni groups because
Mm.
I feel like heptathlon especially is such a niche event. You're unlikely to have like a great multi-event coach in a uni setting. So like when I was in Liverpool, my coach Mike Holmes was not affiliated with uni whatsoever. So I would compete for them doing
Okay.
bucks and stuff. Yeah, I get to be one of those really annoying people that can come back to bucks when they're like 27 because I'm still a student.
Love it. Love it.
But yeah, so that is my architecture goal, to get as long down that process, as far down that process as possible without stopping. And then athletics wise, currently I've got my sights on Glasgow Commonwealth Games, which
Okay.
is quite a big goal. I think that I would say that's my lifetime goal. Like, I mean,
hmm
for all the years I've been doing this sport, I kind of want all the sacrifice, everything to be worth it. So for me, yeah, that is the big goal. And at the start of the season, I was thinking that was, a bit ambitious, but like it's good to have your sights on something, even if you yourself
hmm
believe that maybe it's a bit further out of reach. But I've just had a really good indoor season, so now that's actually much more on the radar. So that is my current goal.
And what's next on the way to that? When is that? When's the next Commonwealth Games?
So that is end of July this year in Glasgow.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what do you
Um,
need to be able to compete?
God, this is not a very black and white subject. So
I know, which is
I
why I want to get into it. I love it.
so I actually am very fortunate that I have eligibility for Scotland and Jersey.
So I
Um,
understood, yeah.
so it's kind of two opposite scenarios, or it was two opposite scenarios for Scotland and Jersey. Scotland had like a set standard of 5,480 points, but with them, they've got a lot more athletes, so it was more like a you might meet the standard, but we might not take you kind of thing. Um, and I have eligibility there because I was born there, so I've got birth rights. But Jersey, I've lived my whole life until I moved for uni. And their situation was that they set a standard, a very high standard, may I just say. Jersey is a small island. I think Guernsey, our sister island, set a standard of about 5,000 points. To put this
Okay.
into
And to give
perspective,
people an idea,
yeah,
what's
okay.
normal?
So England is, I think, is about 5'8", which is like quite high, but I mean, England's full of really great
Hmm
athletes, so that's kind of expected. And then Scotland's 5'4", 80". My PB from last season, which was my first like competition back heptathlon, was 5,094. But I've just added 400 points to my indoor score, which we can get onto later. So I'm looking at about 5'5" this year is my goal. So
Okay.
Scotland is 5'4", 80". England is 5'8". We got Guernsey at 5,000, and Jersey put their standard at 5,700, which is just
Of course it is.
ridiculous. Is honestly, it's ridiculous. But apparently, the logic for it was that they don't want athletes finishing in the bottom like certain percentage of people
Yeah.
that go to the games, right? But there's only 8 people that went to the heptathlon last games.
Oh,
So top
really?
So it depends how you want to look at it. Either you finished seventh out
Yeah.
of eight, and that puts you really low down, or
Mm.
you placed seventh in the Commonwealth Games. And so we've been fighting this cause for a few months now to basically say, like, would you rather send a sprinter and they come, I don't know, technically a higher percentage from the bottom, but finish, like, oh, don't even get through the heats? Or you
Yeah.
send a heptathlete who maybe comes seventh or sixth out of eight, or a decathlete. But I think it's better media for the island. Anyway, there's been this whole debate, but really good news. They are lowering it this week. They're lowering the standard. So at the start of
Two?
the season, it was more of a like, we don't know exactly yet, but I'm thinking it's going to be around Scotland, so probably
Okay.
about 5'4", 5'5", which I'm
Sure,
quite happy
sure.
about because it means it's still like a it's still a target. Like, I think I'd
Yeah.
almost be a little bit annoyed if they just put it to Guernseys of 5,000. I'd be like, well, I've already got that. Like, what am I working for now?
You want something to work towards.
Yeah, I feel like selfishly, I'm like, can they just like put it where my goal is? I mean, I'm the only heptathlete from Jersey, so
I was going to say, are you? 'Cause there can't be many
yeah.
surely if
So
there's only
there's
eight
two
going to the
multi-eventers,
Commonwealth.
and it's Evan and I. He's the decathlete, I'm the heptathlete. So yeah, it's literally just us. So the goal, like at the start of the season, it was looking like, well, I might, it'd be quite funny if they lowered it now and then I
Mm.
score 5,700. That would
Mm.
be fun. But at the start of the season, I was like, I'm unlikely to get this standard. It's so high. But
Yeah.
they might take me anyway if I show this improvement. Jersey and Scotland were kind of opposite cases of Scotland is I might get the standard, they might not take me. Jersey's was I may not get the standard, they might still take me. So
And where do your allegiances lie then? Like, was it always a case of just which one could I qualify for, or was it a case of I'd love to represent one or the other?
I don't want to say too much, just because I don't know who's going to
Okay.
listen to this.
No,
I
fair
think
enough.
my dad, my dad would love me to compete for Scotland. I've never worn Scottish
Yeah.
kit. I mean, regardless, commies or not, I definitely want to wear Scottish kit at some point this season for
Mm.
another international. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's whoever
Don't.
takes me, to be honest.
You'll get pulled into a meeting next week and be like, we heard a podcast.
I did feel like going down that angle with Jersey though. I was like, how bad would it look if you guys didn't take me and then Scotland did?
Yeah. No, it's interesting, right? And I think I hadn't actually planned to sort of speak on this, but I spoke with, you know Tom, don't you? Tom Chandler?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So I spoke to him on the last season. He's my coach, good friend. And we sort of started speaking on I guess it's a massive picture, right? But the world of how in athletics you have top level athletes who, whether it's can't get the funding, are battling for places, are having to work full-time jobs to fund their own training. Like, it's a crazy world, and you can't compare it to any other sport. It's almost weird in that sense. Like, you look at any other sport and you look at the top performers. There's not another sport that you can say like people are in this situation. It's strange, really, right? And there's so many different
Yeah.
reasons, but like for someone who's in the thick of it, and you're doing just that, you're at uni, and you're about to go back to uni, you're working full time, you're trying to train to the absolute maximum. I think it's almost harder in athletics. I think the way I see it from like an outside perspective, because it's such a performance based sport in the sense that your performance window is so small. I always compare
Yeah.
it to football because I play football. Like we've got 90 minutes. We make one mistake, we can go and do something brilliant the next time we get the ball, and it's you forget about the bad thing.
I mean, in
Whereas in
heptathlon, you can do
athletics,
that.
yeah, you've
Yeah.
got a bit more leeway than others, right? But even so, it's still you've got one moment for each
Yeah.
discipline to be able to go. That's my very best, and if you're not, you're not. So, like, where do you stand with it? I mean, you're what a few months away from potentially performing at one of the biggest competitions in the sport,
And I'm about a
and
month
at the
away
same
from
time you're
having.
applying for uni, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm about a month away from potentially having to put down one of the best performances of my life to be able to go to the Commonwealth Games.
for sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It is really hard. Like heptathlon, decathlon, it's great because there is always that opportunity to make up a bad performance. But I mean, I have had years where I haven't seen like PBs in certain events for like 8 years, to be precise. It was that I didn't see a single PB in any of my jumping events. And I think as well, when there's a lack of funding and all of this, like, you can't be in this sport for the money. It's literally not possible. You have to be there for the pure love of the sport. And there are periods where you just don't see improvement, and that can be really hard to stick it out. Like, I've only just got off the back of about 4 years of really questioning if I was ever gonna, make the Commonwealth Games team. And I've had pretty much a dream indoor season. I'm still not quite sure where it came from. And I'm now praying for that trajectory to carry on into Germany next month. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I shouldn't look at this way, but the way I'm thinking about it is, so I did decathlons indoors, no other competitions. Like, in previous seasons, the thought of going into multi-events, having not done a hurdles race, a high jump, like any preparation, would make me shit myself. In fact, it did kind of make me shit myself. But I did that this indoor season. I did England Champs Pentathlon, and then I did British Champs Pentathlon. I did absolutely nothing in between, and had 2 of the best performances of my life. I mean, I thought England Champs was the best performance of my life, and then I did it again at British Champs. And so a part of me is thinking, am I going to get that lucky to then go into my first heptathlon of the season and also do the same thing, having, like, I've not done I'm not planning to do a single event competition between now and Germany, mainly because the commies standard that I have to get is end of May, so there's like not really much time. I mean, doing a heptathlon on the 16th of May is really, really early. So I've kind of gone with the approach of, I'd rather get loads of training in than be like tapering for a competition before then. But I'm putting it down to the fact that I'm in a really competitive training group. It's a really good environment to be in. We're all multi-eventers, so we can kind of replicate competition in training. And so I'm thinking that's potentially why I've not felt the need to do any single event competitions. But yeah, it's definitely it's a lot of pressure to pull this performance out in Germany.
Yeah. What happened in that 7-year period, though? Because that's a long time to be debating, if you like, I guess ultimately your purpose and your identity as that sports person. Why did you stick with it at the end? Why are we still here?
I don't know. I don't know if we should start from the very beginning if I'm going to go through this. So, I mean, I got into multi-events when I was really young. My friends at the time, my friend's mum was a heptathlete, or ex-heptathlete. And so we were all like at that age where everybody's playing netball, and it was kind of, we were a group of netballers, and then people started running and doing athletics. That was a phase as well. And she took a group of us and made us try out multi-events. And essentially I did that, and I never specialised, I never looked back. Part of me kind of is like, because I'd love to specialise, but I'm unfortunately a jack of all trades and master of none. So what would I specialise in?
Tom said exactly the same thing.
Tom and I, we are true multi-eventers. There is not a single event I could specialise in.
Yeah, but then isn't that kind of a skill in its own right, and being able to have kind of the ability to perform at a decent level still across a number of different things, and quite different things, right? There is similarities, of course, but
I think one of the good things about being this kind of person is I feel like you can kind of creep through a multi-events competition. Because if you've got no standout events, you kind of just sit in the middle. And then I do have quite a good 800, which TikTok told me today, actually. I was like, oh, what's my best event? Everyone's like, 800 metres. And my dad thinks 800 metres is my best event, but I just refuse for it to be my best event because it's literally the worst one.
Why?
Oh, it's horrible. I don't want to be good at that. Well, I do want to be good at that.
What, just because you don't enjoy running the 800 or what?
Oh, it's disgusting. It's the worst event in the world. That's not true. There's probably worse events. I wouldn't want to do a 15. But yeah, so I'm like Tom, jack of all trades, and then a strong 800 finisher at the end. So you kind of just creep through the competition, which is, I guess, a good way to be. But yeah, so I've been a really rough period in 2020-ish, or COVID, to be honest. You could blame COVID. I don't know if that is to blame, but yeah, so I was in my gap year trying to do what I'm doing now, working a full-time job on the Commonwealth Games pathway at quite a young age. That was a very ambitious goal at that time. But I was on the pathway and I was like dreaming of Commonwealth Games, working full-time in my gap year as an architectural assistant, also training. But the issue was back then was where I was from in Jersey, there wasn't really a Maltese coach overseeing everything. Evan had this issue as well. There's not a lot of coaching facility, like there's not much access to coaching. So we didn't have a Maltese events coach, so we were essentially being kind of pushed and pulled between different specialist event coaches and then kind of overseeing the whole thing ourselves. And when you're somebody like me who's got a very kind of the mindset of I need to do as much work as possible, that is a very dangerous environment to be in, because that leads you to training like 2 sessions, double days every day. Like it's ridiculous. So that is what I did. I was getting up at 5 a.m. before work, going to the track, doing a track or a shot session, then going to work, then going to the gym or another track session, like every day, pretty much 6 days a week, and was getting injured, was probably under fueling. And yeah, no PBs that year, not a single PB. Got a high jump mental block as well. That was really rough. And that was probably the lowest moment in the sport for me. I just didn't see how I was coming back from it, to be honest.
And why? Because you didn't have an answer, or you just didn't know how to stop, or?
Well, that was the most frustrating thing. So the high jump mental block was the main thing that stopped me doing heptathlon for a few years. But the most infuriating thing about that was there wasn't an incident that caused it. Like a lot of people that will go through mental blocks in the sport will be like, oh, I've got a hurdles mental block because I clattered a hurdle in a race, and it makes so much sense and you feel validated because there's a reason for it. But mine came on literally out of nowhere. I was in between coaches all the time, and I'd got a new coach and we'd started jumping over soft bars and trying to change my technique. And I just remember one day we put the hard bar back on and I just wouldn't jump. And I don't know if it was a fear thing. It then got to the point where the actual process of jumping felt so alien to my body that even if I wasn't scared of the bar, it didn't know how to do it. And I saw so many sports psychologists and we couldn't figure out what it was. So, that was the main thing that led to me having to take a step back from the sport. But alongside that, I was also not progressing in long jump. I think the only thing that I was progressing in was, my fitness. I think I got a great 400 time that year, but that doesn't really help you as someone who's trying to do 7 events, and most of which are technical. So yeah.
Speak on that mental block thing a bit then, because, some people might not fully understand, the significance of that. But right, as a athletics, whatever discipline you're doing, you need to be showing progress, right? And if for whatever reason you ever, whether it's down to fear, it's like, I don't know, whatever it could be, you can't get over a certain height, distance, whatever you're trying to do. What is the severity of that for someone in your position? Like, why would that lead you to stepping away?
Well, because essentially if I can't jump over a high jump bar, I can't score big in the heptathlon. Like, there is no point in me... I don't want to say there's no point in me doing the other events, because when I stepped back, I was still training multi-events for the hope that one day I would jump over a bar again. But there was no point in me turning up at a multi-events competition, doing great performances and everything, then scissoring 125 in the high jump. Especially someone that had their sights on the Commonwealth Games. Like, that was dream pretty much over for me. So yeah, I think it was probably the best time in my life for that to happen, because then I got on a plane to Liverpool, went to uni, and that kind of whole change of environment and everything just set a clean slate.
Hmm.
So yeah, I went to uni, I met Mike, multi-events coach. He actually coached KJT when she was a young athlete, coached her to her first Olympics.
Catherine,
Katarina Johnson-Thompson, yeah.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, so
the
I met
heptathlete.
the heptathlete, yeah. So Mike is, oh, I can't say this, he's a lot older now. But yeah, he took me on. I actually think I have him to thank for getting me back into heptathlon. I think at the time I met him, I said, so I'm a heptathlete, but I won't jump over a high jump bar. And he was like,
What an
right.
introduction.
I was trying to like sell myself as an athlete to him, and I was like, but I will run through a wall if you ask me to. Like, I will do whatever it takes. I said I want to go back to heptathlon. I have every part of me really wants to go back to it. I mean, not only because I don't think I could specialise in another event, but just because I love training all 7 events. Like, you can't get bored doing 7 events. So yeah, I said that to him. I was like, I will run through a wall if you ask me to. You will never fault me for not trying. But we have a bit of a thing to work on with this high jump mental block, which I think sucked for him, because the whole time I was with him, he was at one point athletics coach for high jump. This man has so much knowledge in that area, but he couldn't part any of it onto me because I wouldn't even get myself over the bar. So our sessions weren't technical, it was get over the bar in any means possible, basically. So
What was it like working with someone of that caliber?
He's like a granddad figure to me. Like, he reminded me so much of my granddad. He was a little bit grumpy at times, much softer than apparently he was back in the day. But yeah, he was stern, and he definitely made me work hard. He used to say, he was like, I'm just prepared. I asked him once why he was so mean. And he was like, I'm just preparing you for one day you're going to go out into the real world and have a horrible boss, but they won't be as horrible as me. And I was like, okay, kind of fair. But he had a soft side as
Makes
well.
sense.
And he worked me really, really hard. I got quite fit whilst training under him. Had a little triple jump side quest at one point.
Okay.
I think just like the new environment, the new coach, I was still training multis, but I was kind of trying to find enjoyment in it again. I had new people to train with, made some really good friends, and I think that environment just helped me to enjoy athletics again. And I took a mental, like, I'm done with heptathlon, I'm signing out for a few years. Had fun with triple jump. Briefly contemplated, when it got really rough, that I might have to specialise in 400-metre hurdles. Yeah, that was my, like, if I don't fix this high jump mental block by this date, I'm going to go into 400-metre hurdles. But we never got there.
Are you glad you never got there?
Yeah, I think I contemplated 400 running at one point, because I think now I could run a pretty good 400, but we were doing the 4x4 relay at Island Games, and I just remember sat in the call room and thinking, fucking hell, I don't want to go through this every time I have to race. Like, the anxiety that I had before running that 400. I was like, no, I mean, there's obviously anxiety before an 800, but I just thought, no. I don't think 400 metres is for me.
Okay, so then just going back to that kind of move, the change of scenery that obviously differed. I want to try and sort of make it so people listening can understand. When you do completely change scenery, you went from Jersey to Liverpool. How do you go about getting a coach who's gonna get you performing at your absolute maximum rather than just, I don't know, joining your local running club?
Well, how I found Mike was actually kind of a funny one. So my boyfriend at the time was being coached by another man called Mike, and my original plan was, I'll just join your group. I'll join that coach. He was a Maltese coach. He then emailed me back to be like, oh, I'm actually leaving the club. And I was like, oh, great. And he goes, but there's Mike Holmes, you might have heard of him. And I was like, oh, he's Katarina Johnson-Thompson's old coach. He might be willing to take you on. And I thought, why did I not go there first? I just didn't like put two and two together. And so then I immediately emailed Mike and I was like, basically told him my whole life story.
Yeah.
And it's funny, actually, the day that I moved to Liverpool, Mike picked me up from the airport and we went for coffee. And yeah, I was straight in the group after that.
And what do you have to do? Do you get any funding support from your athletics, I guess, organisation, or are you just left alone to have to fund that yourself?
No, it's pretty much all on your own back.
It's savage, isn't it?
It's savage. So rough out here.
Yeah, but it's got to be done. But you wouldn't have it any other way, I can almost guarantee that.
No.
And then what got you back to Heptathlete? I mean, we're here now. What happened? What made you come back after that time away?
God, so I think it was 2 summers ago. So it was about 2 years ago. So I've done like now 2 indoor seasons of Maltese and 1 outdoor season. And so the summer before the first outdoor season, I kind of just made a contract with myself. I was like, this has been going on far too long. I've basically been hiding and like refusing to deal with the situation. And I was like, I think I've had the mental break. I've started enjoying the sport again. I feel less traumatized from high jump. I think I just need to be like, if I'm going to put all my effort into breaking this, and if by this date I haven't sorted it out, I need to find another event. So essentially I would do extra sessions in the week. For high jump nerds, I don't know if anyone's going to find this interesting, but I basically started from the very basics, like 1-step jumps. So my body was just completely rejecting the process of jumping. And I think doing any kind of run up into that was just giving me so much time to talk myself out of it. So I was like, right, I'm just taking all the run up away and I'm just going to do 1-step jump. And I mean, it took a while it's not a comfortable thing to do. But I just kept at it every week, and then as things got more comfortable, I'd start adding a bit of run up, but I'd always start the session with these 1-step jumps. I was like, make myself like really uncomfortable, front the bar, then bring it back to a run up, and I slowly did that, and week by week, it got better. And then Mike and I entered me for British Champs Pentathlon as my first Maltese in 7 years. And I had a competition and a date, and so I was just like, I'm gonna have to high jump for that competition. And I think I did a kind of comp simulation session the week before the competition, and I jumped like 147, which for me at the time was like huge because I hadn't jumped anywhere near that in a really long time.
Yeah.
For context, my PB was 160, and I was in the 160 club for years. So yeah, I was gassed with that, and I said to Mike, I was like, look, I'll be happy if I can get over 145 in a competition, because all my other events are hopefully getting better, and I won't be embarrassed with that. And then I think we did the British Champs Pentathlon and the adrenaline. I now love Glasgow Emirates Arena because I just have pure good memories associated with it. I somehow ended up getting myself over 157, and I couldn't quite believe it. That is like 3 centimetres lower than my PB, pre-mental block. And I'd only jumped like 147 in training. And yeah, at that point I just kind of knew that I'd beaten it, and I loved every single second of the competition. Even the 800 metres was like tolerable. And yeah, I had my love for Maltese back and knew that I was eyes on the prize for this Commonwealth Games.
There you go. Redemption story through and through.
Yeah, and then Mike and I set the 5,000 point goal for outdoors. That after my indoor debut, he was like, right, you are on track for 5,000 points. We'll work on your high jump. We'll try to get you back to 160. This is pure like Mike through and through. I think 2 weeks before that competition where I was trying to do my 5,000 points, he had got angry at me for, I don't even know what, screwing something up in training. And he was like, oh, you're not even worth 4.9. And I was like, how dare you? I was so angry at him. But I think he was just doing that on purpose to make me angry and fuel the fire. And yeah,
So good,
that competition that I did my PB,
yeah.
he couldn't be there because he couldn't travel to Birmingham. So I was just messaging him, and every time I did an event, he was like recalculating my predicted Hep score. He was like, oh my God, we're on track for 5,000. And I mean, in the end, I got 5,094. So I was 94 points clear of what he thought I couldn't do 2 months before.
Love it.
Yeah, it's the best comeback to heptathlon I could have asked for that season.
And you've what, we just riding on an absolute high now?
Kind of ever since, yeah. I think this is honestly proof in that you have to enjoy what you're doing, because ever since I've started loving it again, I mean, I've had some pretty like average competitions, but I haven't had like a really low point since then, I guess.
Well, that's got to be everything. I think, as we said earlier, if you're coming back into a sport where like you're not doing it for the money, you're not doing it for anything else. You've got to be doing it because you love it. And I think even if there was money and there other things at stake, right, that really should be the
Yeah.
only reason why you are doing it. If you're doing it for any other reason, you've probably got the right reason. So I think that's as good as any. I think that's as good as any. All right. Well, the other thing I wanted to get into was kind of, I guess, on a more practical, day-to-day, week-by-week basis. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one thing, right, having to perform at a top level in one discipline, and just you can focus on that. But you're sort of trying to work and, well, train around your work on 7 different disciplines.
Yeah.
What look like? Like, what does a standard week look like? To give the people a bit of an idea here, what does that look like for you?
Okay, so I think when I first approached Rafer and I was like, look, I work a full-time job. And I think, so my training partner Lily had also been working a full-time job when she joined the group. And she ultimately decided that that was not the right idea. And I think everyone in the group was going, oh, don't worry, after a few months you'll come to your senses. And I was going, no, guys, you don't get it. I can't. Like, to get to the next level of my career, I have to do this job for a whole year. I was like, it's not like I've done my degree and now I'm just working to earn money. Like, I need this. So I said to Rafer, and I think he was a bit kind of apprehensive at the idea of me working a full-time job. I was like, we've got to find a way to make this work. And so we have. I sat down with him. And so essentially a lot of the people in my group have flexible jobs. So they will train like from 10 till 3 on a Monday. So mine's a lot of mornings before work, evenings after work. My coaches are really great and they stay late for me. And I think it's quite easy in my situation to panic because you're thinking, oh my God, I'm not getting the contact time that everybody else is getting. I'm not doing like 4 hours at the track. But I think the time that I spend with my coaches, whilst it's shorter and after a full day of work, it's one-to-one. And I think if you're going into it with a mindset of this is quality over quantity, like I have to be really tuned in, you're kind of getting the same benefits. Like I think I had a really rough day at work once and I think I had such a short shot session. But when I was driving to the track, I had this kind of like word with myself and I was like, we have to make this intentional. Like really lock in, think about all the cues, everything that's going on. Like I have to be fully in the session. And I had the best shot session of my life and it only went on for 45 minutes because after about 7 throws, Gary was like, oh, you've had a really great session. Let's leave it there. And so that's like a prime example of you don't need to train for 5 hours. So my week essentially looks like on a Monday, I will not do anything. Well, sometimes I'll do my gym in the morning. If Rafe and I have loads planned in the evening, there's always the option to do it in the morning. I think always make the most of a Monday morning because you know you can get a good sleep on the Sunday. So like if I were to have to put
I like that.
Great tip number 1. If I were to have to put in a morning session, it's always better on a Monday because I know on the Sunday I can't be doing anything like that strenuous in the evening. I can get to bed early, wake up early, and then that kind of sets the tone for the week. So potentially Monday morning gym. If not, just go to work and then I'll drive straight to Brunel and I will do a technical session with Rafer. That's usually long jump or hurdles, sometimes high jump. The events really shift around for me. We basically get to the weekend and go, what have we not done this week? And then assess from there. And then I'll do gym after that. That is quite hard. I think old me would have been like, how the hell do you do a gym session after a track session? And I think if I was fully on my own, I would really struggle with that, but I've kind of gotten used to it. So if I'm really organised, I would meal prep to bring food to the track because I don't get home till about 10 o'clock after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is Monday. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays are quite chill. Tuesday is just work, go to the track, do my sprint session and a bit of hurdles. Wednesday is another day where I have to drive to location. So that was at Brunel, it's now at Harrow outdoors, and I throw. On a Wednesday morning, I've now had to do gym in the morning because I'm outdoors at a track that does not have facilities for the gym. So it's not at Brunel. So morning gym, Wednesday throwing outdoors. Thursday is a bit like Tuesday, except it's lactic, not sprinting, which is pretty rough, but yeah, so Thursday, nothing in the morning, work, lactic session. Friday mornings, I've been trying to do my rehab because they all do.
I need to do my rehab.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that you can really like let go, and I won't get it done after work. Like Friday is technically my rest day, and I like to plan a small portion of social life for a Friday. So
can we just address the fact that rehab, even for top level athletes, is still something that's put off and avoided?
Well, it's so easy. It's so easy to be like, I don't need to do this. So yeah, I'm not going to get it done after work. That's also a social day for my work most of the time. So I'll get it done in the morning. And I think I wasn't doing it very well. And then I kind of had a conversation with someone the other week and they were basically like, all you need to do is just keep your body in one piece before commies, like, because you're on a good trajectory. The only thing that's going to ruin it is if you get an injury. Touch wood, I'm not massively injury prone. I think that's the best quality I have as an athlete. But yeah, so I literally said, I was like, Lucy, you cannot have the season of your life and then pick up an injury. You've got to do this rehab. So that is what I told myself when I got out of bed at 6:30 this morning. So yeah, Friday morning, rehab, any extra conditioning bits that I haven't done in the week in the gym. And then my weekend is so exciting. Lots of training, unfortunately. I don't get much of a social life.
What a surprise.
The hours I miss in the week leads me to do a extra session most Sundays whenever my coach is available. Bless him, gives up 2 days on his weekend to coach me. So Saturday morning, I'm driving out to Basingstoke tomorrow. As it gets sunnier, we are, unfortunately, for the people based in London, mostly based in Basingstoke now, so that is a bit of a trek. Yeah. So this weekend I've got I've got a double weekend, Basingstoke Saturday and Sunday, and that is usually lots of technical work. Because, I mean, the graph work, like the lactic, the sprinting, like that can kind of be done in my own time. I don't really need someone overseeing that. Like, you just run until you die, basically. But Saturday, Sunday is like...
so technical.
Really, really technical. And a bit of endurance as well. But, yeah, that is the week.
I mean, go into the details a little bit of those weekend bigger sessions, because... in my own time, I've spoken to Tom a little bit about this and just had a rough idea.
But yeah, he does the same.
You guys spend you spend a mega amount of time at the track, right? I don't know, even someone training for, let's just say, a marathon, to put a comparable in terms of like the amount of hours you'd have to be investing. Yeah. It's pretty clear what they've got to do. They might be doing like a long one, they'll be doing some intervals and maybe an easy one. I don't know, something like that kind of thing. You're just there for like a long period. Like let's take one of those Saturday or Sunday sessions. What would that look like? What would a normal one look like?
So I'm quite glad personally that they're long, because I'm not driving a 3 hour round trip to be there for less than 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in London traffic coming back on a Saturday afternoon, it is.
I was going to say that's going to be pretty.
Yeah, it's really rough. So yeah, we get there, usually do quite a long warm up. Then I think, so tomorrow we've got technical hurdles work. Often meet our hurdles coach on a Saturday. yeah, hurdles gets done on a Saturday. Then sometimes we supplement another event. Ideally, when, as I've said, if I'm driving to Basingstoke, I like to get two events plus endurance done. So I think tomorrow we've got technical high jump after hurdles. And then after that, we have our endurance, which was a completely new concept to me. I have never done endurance training. The very first session I had with this group, I didn't understand the concept of endurance. I was like, well, surely it's lactic or it's not, like it's lactic or sprinting. Like, what is endurance? So if you're hitting me with like 2 lots of 4 200s, I'm thinking lactic. I'm running this really hard, forgetting that there is a 30-second break between the 200s. And so I think that was our first session, my first ever session with them. I sent those 200s so hard and obviously didn't make it to the end of the session. And I think everyone was looking at me like, what is she doing? It was so humbling. And they're all fine, like they're not hitting lactic. And I'm going, what is this? And Rafe was like, Lucy, this is endurance. It's like, you're not supposed to hit lactic, you're just supposed to feel like you've worked hard and get a bit of puff. So for ages I was dreading these Saturday sessions, but they're actually not that bad. It's essentially, you're running slower than race pace and you're supposed to feel like your legs are heavy and you can feel it in your lungs, but you shouldn't be like on the floor lactic, can't move like I am on Thursday. So that's how we finish the Saturday. It's not that bad. And then Sunday, Rafe and I, that's just our one-to-one session when he can make it. And that's essentially, we look at what I did in the week and what I need to do, like where we can fill in gaps. So for example, my high jump at the moment is probably one that's still a work in progress, and we might get an extra hour in the high jump, or maybe we've not long jumped that week. We never do high and long on the same day. It's usually one or the other, and then whichever one we don't do on Sunday, we'll do on Monday. And then he might give me a bit more throwing, some more throwing sessions or some hurdles. It's really whatever we can fit in. But there's no grief on a Sunday. He always says that to me. He's like, there's no running.
Okay, well look, how does this become something that you've gotten to this point where you're willing to invest all this time, make all these sacrifices, right? When did it become serious for you? When did he be like, right, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this properly. I'm not just gonna do this for fun.
God, I think it comes down to like who you are as a person. I'm just naturally massively competitive and I have that hard work ethic, like in everything I do. Unfortunately, I'm starting to learn that there has to be trade-offs. I can't be the best at everything. Uni taught me that. But yeah, so I was in this group with all my friends, and I mean, at the time, it's very not serious because you're with your friends and it's so much fun. There's like loads of you. I mean, we'd coincide our athletics competitions with shopping trips in London, and all the mums would come. Like it was so chilled. I really miss those days before it got all serious. It was so much fun. Then essentially all my friends left me. They went to netball. I think there was only 2 of us remaining in athletics. My friend Amelia, she started throwing, and then I was the only one that stuck with multi-events. And then it gets a little bit more serious. But yeah, I mean, I think, so I loved it. I must have loved it to have done it for that long. But it then got to a point where I've not sacrificed so much of my life for this not to go anywhere. Like, I have to have a goal.
Sure.
I mean, obviously I love it, but yeah, I don't want to have... I've literally grown up with athletics. I've made so many sacrifices. It's kind of brought me up to be who I am. So I want it to lead somewhere. And for me, that is making a Commonwealth Games team.
Does that feel like a healthy weight or an unhealthy weight to be holding?
I don't know. I think I do have like an internal like bullying complex with myself sometimes. It's really bad. I think
that sounds less healthy.
No, it's not healthy. But I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to have goals. I've got a much better relationship with the sport now than I used to. I think previously I had an unhealthy relationship with it. My identity is very tied up in the sport. But yeah, and I also, regardless of, if I don't achieve my goals or not, I think it's brought me up to be who I am, and I wouldn't change that for anything. Like, even in uni, in my uni interview, we were having this conversation the other day, and it's like talking about how I do athletics and how I do architecture. And he was saying, oh, it must be quite nice in such like a hustle culture that architecture is, to have this like outlet, because you could view it in two ways. I think whilst I was at uni, I was viewing it negatively in the sense of, oh my God, all these people are working crazy hours in the studio and pulling all-nighters, and I need to go to athletics. And then there's a competitive element in me that was like, how, like, I'm leaving for the track and my best friends are still in the studio doing their work. And now I've got to play catch up. But then also, in a sense, I always had my athlete brain on, and that was probably better for my health, because I'm not pulling all-nighters when I have to go train tomorrow. I'm not going to sit here and eat crap from McDonald's in the studio because I need to. I mean, I had a lot of Lucozades and a lot of meal deals, I won't lie. But like, the athlete brain is always there, keeping me healthy, because I'm like, I'm not going to eat loads of rubbish and sleep 4 hours, which a lot of architects do at uni. It really needs to change, actually, that environment of architecture. It's quite toxic, but yeah, it's kept me grounded. It probably kept me healthy and sane through uni, and for that, I'm very grateful.
Can't ask for much more than that, can you?
No.
How do you navigate that kind of sort of wanting to progress in each though? Because I think that's kind of the thing I was interested in, because it's something that I navigate textbook in having too many plates spinning and trying to navigate and find progress in all of them. And I haven't figured it out, but I just kind of just do, and I get into an absolute hole, and then the next day I'm like, well, let's just get on with it. And that's always my I guess mindset is to just right, just keep going, keep going. And I think that's unhealthy at times, but also it's what's kept me going. And well, heck, with the podcast, I could have very easily not done this. I'm trying
Yeah.
to progress in my own sport. I've got a full-time job. It'd be very easy to be like, I haven't got time for this. But like for you,
Yeah.
what is it that's like, right, okay, yeah, I've got to be, I guess you say, diligent in terms of this is time for my architecture, my work, my uni, and this is time for training, and these are the behaviours that I need to maintain to serve both of them. But how would you do it? Like, what is it that keeps both of them like, right, yeah, these both need ticking over?
So I think I had it wrong at uni, I'm going to be honest. I was expending far too much energy into my uni work sometimes. I mean, in first year, literally everyone told me in first year, you only need to get above 40%. And I was trying to get a first. You can't get a first in first year. Like, do you know what I mean? It was such a waste of energy. And I look at it now and I'm like, I will not be doing that when I go back to uni next year. So yeah, I think it's trying to figure out what requires, as basically I can't give 100% to both things at the same time. So it's making that decision at the time of what are you putting more of your energy into. And I say this all the time, I have my whole life to put all my energy into architecture. Like, this is my long-term career. But right now, I mean, my boss probably, I've told him that the job comes first. But, I'm trying to qualify for Commonwealth Games. That is my number one priority. So where work's concerned, I'll put in, I'm good at my job and I'll do my job well in the hours that I'm at work. But I am learning this, still learning this. I mean, I need to practice what I preach, but there comes a point where you have to put your foot down in aspects of your life, especially architecture is hustle culture, and I am a people pleaser. It's really not a good combination. But I'll do my job well in the hours that I'm there, but I can't give more than they're asking of me right now. And so when they turn around and go, oh, please, can you stay an extra 3 hours? I'm learning to just be like, well, no, actually, I can't, because I have these goals outside of work. And obviously you don't want to get fired from your job. So to a certain extent, if they need something from you and it is important, you have to make that decision of, is this important? Yes. Okay. And you would hope that the more you give, the more they give back, in that sense. I think I did have one situation. I was working late with my boss, and it was the week before British Champs, and I'd had my last session that evening, and I missed it because I was still in the studio at 8 o'clock. And I said to him, I was like, look, I think I did this quite well. Basically, we had an end of month drinks the next day after work, and it was just me and him left in the office, and I said to him, hey, so I've missed my last session before British Champs this weekend, so I kind of have two choices to make tomorrow, and like you can choose which one I do. I was like, either I miss end of month drinks and train after work, or you let me come in an hour later and I'll train before work. So it's like I gave him the choice. And then
I like that.
It worked in my favour. He was like, okay, you can come in at 10, just like put an hour from today onto your timesheet tomorrow. And we have a good relationship, so it meant that I could approach that conversation. And yeah, it's things like that. And I mean, then equally, like, I've also started trying to do social media a bit more because, I mean, I've always been someone that likes to film everything. My friends will tell you that. They always used to get really annoyed at me because I'd have my phone out filming everything, but now, like, years later, they'll be, like, so grateful that I've got this memory from 7 years ago. Yeah, so sometimes with that I get overwhelmed and it can feel like a chore. And when it feels like a chore, it's hard to do. But I've always said that, you know, work and athletics training is first and the social media is just like supplemented in, and I do it because I want to, not because I have to. And if anything has to drop off, it's got to be that, basically.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
And where does socialising fit into all of that?
I said on a Friday, but I'm here socialising with you. I'm
so grateful. I feel honoured. No, but I kind of joke, but I think if anybody is to go and look on your Instagram, for example, they can see that you are a bit of a social animal at times, and
I can.
I find this interesting. Go on.
I have a very, like, close, I'm the kind of person, I've got a close-knit group of friends. I've been friends with them for years. I mean, I've got my friendship group from school that have been the same, like, 8 of us since, like, year 3, like, year 6 up until now. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had to miss out on a lot of stuff and I've had to make a load of sacrifices, but I think it's good that they've been there for so long, they know me, they understand me, so when I can't make things, I like to think that they're understanding of that. But then I'll try put in the effort when I can. Same with my 2 friends from uni, it's just the 3 of us. And when I have like a down week after a competition, so Amber lives with me and Katie's in Liverpool. If I have an off week after a competition or a weekend where Rafa's not here and I know he's not going to be here, I'm straight on a train to Liverpool. Because I take advantage when there is times like that. But yeah, I think it's just when you can make the effort. And yeah, I have my Friday evenings, Amber and I try and do things. We're going to go to the cinema after this. So like I do socialise.
Nice.
Saturday evenings as well, although not too much fun if I'm up on the Sunday morning for training.
I was going to say, isn't that going to be a tricky little one? You've got to get to bed on time still go out and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to drink too much at the moment to keep me nice and fresh, and, you know, I feel like if I don't make the Commonwealth Games, I can't be like, well, that's because you were drinking so much alcohol. But yeah, no, it's just but I've never been a massive party animal, to be honest. I've always thought, like, I don't want to be up past 2 a.m. All the fun happens before 2 a.m. So, yeah, I think I can still go out, enjoy myself, get back at 1 a.m., go to bed, get at least 7 hours sleep. But yeah,
athletes can go out. There you go, people. I love it. That's brilliant. Though I think that shows quite a I don't know. You'd say almost like a human side to it. It doesn't need to be all strict regiment. You can enjoy yourself a bit. It doesn't need to be so.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have
boring.
moments where I find myself somewhere at 3 a.m. and I'm going, I can't be doing this. Like, I'm an athlete. This is so bad. And then there's this like internal monologue of how dare you.
It takes you until 3 a.m. to realise it, does it?
Sometimes it does. Doesn't happen very often. If my coach is listening to this, doesn't happen very often.
Every now and then, every now and then. We won't tell anyone. No, I love it. I love it. Okay, hit me with the this is kind of like the last thing I want to touch on. You had four PBs, was it? In the
5.
last five. It was five, there we go.
5.
How does that happen? Someone does well to get one PB in a comp, right?
Honestly, I still don't know. I am completely shocked. Like, so God, I joined Rafer's group just off the back of last summer. And like I knew training had been going well. But in the past, I've very much been oh my God, I stress out at competitions and completely flop because I get so much anxiety over it. But I think stepping away from the sport for so long, I kind of almost reset my expectations of myself. So going back into multis, I was like, well, nobody's seen me for 4 years. I can't compare myself to, I don't know, 16-year-old me, even though I joke. I've made many jokes that 16-year-old me would beat me in a long jump competition. Not now, though. Not anymore. But like, yeah, so I was like, I can't compare myself to old me. And I've also, like, I've been out of it for so long. So literally my only goal was to go in and have fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, commies was looming at that point, but I wasn't putting too much pressure on it. And yeah, training was going well. And I think it was just like pure enjoyment, I guess. I'm competing with all my friends as well. I don't usually do that. I'm normally competing alone, and I think that helps. Like, I'm very much someone that likes to socialise and talk in a competition. And I remember my warm-up before England, if we go to England champs first, my warm-up before England champs hurdles was actually atrocious. It was awful. And I was thinking, oh
Why?
my God, that was just so bad. Like, I was just running so slowly, like, nothing felt right. And I was having a bit of a panic attack, if I'm completely honest. And Rafe was like to me, Lucy, just sprint, just run. And I was like, okay. He was like, don't think about anything else, just everything goes forward and you just run as fast as you can. And I think at that point I was like, well, I've not really got anything to lose. My PB, hurdles PB at the time was 9:55. Like, that was gonna get broken. That is not, like, I was running quickly in training. So I hadn't set the bar very high. So I was like, even a bad day for me right now should be a hurdles PB. And then, yeah, I took half a second off my hurdles PB and ran 9:05. And I was just completely gobsmacked by that. But then I think having a good first event just sets you up on a really great high. So I think England champs, I got like 3 out of 5 PBs. Because you can have indoor and outdoor PBs. So I think I got an indoor 800 PB of 2:18. A wind legal long jump PB. So I'd beaten my legal PB, but not my illegal PB. And I'd had a shot PB and a hurdles PB. So that was, to me, that was like, wow, this is an incredible competition. And then British champs came around, but I knew I was gonna improve on it in British champs. Like, there were things I wasn't happy with. My shot annoyed me at England champs. It actually was the only event that annoyed me at British champs as well. Yeah, I opened with hurdles and I was thinking, right, 9:05 is going to be quite a hard time to beat now. Like, I've just knocked a half second off my PB. The bar is higher right now. And I ran sub 9 for the first time ever. I did an 8:95. And I was on such a high after that. Like, if you told me last season I was running sub 9 in hurdles, I'd be like, you're lying. Like, that's not actually possible. And I mean, I look at the race and it's messy. Like, my technique is not great, but the speed got me through. So yeah, I was on a massive high after that, obviously. And then we go to high jump. Rayford said we wanted like one more height on the high jump. I think I jumped 157 again in England champs. And he was like, let's just get you over 160. And high jump's actually quite, I prefer it in competition. I feel like it just feels more natural in competition now, and it's going quite well. And I think I'd said to Cal before the competition, I was like, if I jump 163, I'll jump it in your Spyro Worlds. Like, that's how little faith I had in myself. Jumping 163, I was like, that's not achievable. I'll get over 160 and that'll be it. And then lo and behold, I jumped 163. And that was a really crazy moment, because I haven't had a high jump PB, like my long jump PB, since my mental block. Like, it's 7 years old. And I was going in looking at I'll jump 160, not I'll jump 163. So you couldn't bring me down from cloud nine after that, to be honest. And then shot put was actually really annoying. They hadn't so normally in athletics they separate you into pools. So there's like not as many when you're doing a field event, you don't want to be in a pool of like 50 people. You'll be there forever, especially in a multi events.
Sure, yeah.
They put everyone in the same pool, so that means you're waiting like half an hour between throws, which I hate. Like if I do a bad throw, I want to get some feedback and then go
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
yeah.
place and correct it. So I mean, it wasn't a great environment, and it's one of those events that had been going so well for me in training. My PB was 11:40 something, but I was consistently throwing like 11:80s, 12 meters in training, and so I was like, it should go well. I did get a PB, but it was 11:56. So I was angry at that. I mean, you can't be angry at a PB, but I was. So that wasn't my favourite
I was
event.
gonna say.
Serious redemption to do in Germany with the shot put. Yeah, at this point in the competition, by the way, I should say that my goal for the pentathlon was 3:8, 3:9. I'd done 3:7 at England champs. I didn't think I was a 4K athlete. Like, no way. I'm not, by the way. I did 3:9.96. Really annoying.
Oh man, come on. We'll
So
round up.
so yeah, got shot put out of the way. It was pretty like I got a PB, so I couldn't be angry, but I was a bit like, ugh, bit mid. And then onto long jump. Long jump is kind of my baby. When I was younger, I was like, if I was going to specialize in any event, it was going to be long jump. It was my favorite event. I was quite good at it when I was younger, and then I had this kind of delusional idea when I was like 14, like, oh, if I'm jumping 5:30 now, I'll be jumping 6 meters by the time I'm 17. Like, no problem. Doesn't work like that. Does not work like that. I obviously jumped 5:50 when I was 16 and had not jumped that far since. And I'm 23 now. Like, that is really hard. And I kind of fell out of love with that event because it became just like really personal to me every time I did badly at it. Like, it really upset me because, I mean, it was my baby of all the 7 events. It's long jump. So I'm on a healing journey with long jump right now. But yeah, I jumped well at England champs and training had been going well. We've been making a lot of technical changes and Rafe was like, you've got a 570 in there. And the thought of that really excited me. So yeah, did long jump. Honestly, first jump felt pretty average, like not good. And I remember they like spun the board round, it was a 564. And I was like, what? So am I reading that right? And Rafe was like, and that felt bad. And I was like, yeah, it did. So I'd already beaten my PB by like 15 centimetres for the first time in 7 years, and it felt bad. Anyway, and then I beat that again and got a 571 in the last round. And again, I was on cloud nine because I've not, like the high jump, that was a 7-year-old standing PB. I'm literally inching towards 6 meters, which I didn't think was possible even in my career, to be honest with you. Yeah, so feeling great after that, and then I had the impending doom of 800 meters. Rafa had, so my PB that I set, my indoor PB, I equaled. So my outdoor PB was 218. My indoor PB was like 220 something, but then I kind of equaled that with my outdoor PB at England champs and ran a 218. And Rafa was like to Lily and I going into this 800, you can do a 215, no problem. And I was going, is this man delusional? 215, like 3 seconds off my 800 PB, which I thought was quite a hard PB. Like I died at England champs trying to run a 218. It was not an easy task. And I was like, God, this man's delusional. And I did calculate what crazy time I would have to run to get 4,000 points at this point. And it was something like 213, low 213. I was going, God, that's mad. But I mean, I said before, like, I'll run through brick walls. I was like, I'm going to send this anyway. Lily was actually in my race this time. So at England champs, I ran it entirely on my own because I'd not done well enough to put myself in the top 800 heat. That basically meant that I'd led the pack out and nobody had overtaken me in the whole race. So I was just front running the whole way round. I'm not a very good pacer, so for me, that is really hard. So the fact that I ran a 2:18, running it on my own, I was quite proud of. But this time I had Lily, and we also had Ellen Barber, who's a really good multi-eventer. Her PB is like 2:11. And so I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of scary because I've got to run it really hard and I'm going to die. But I'm actually in a really good race to run a PB. Lily went out quite hard, which I was not surprised about. She does run really hard, but yeah, so I was like, okay, she's running fast. I'll just stick on her. She'll stick on Ellen. Ellen literally led us around the race like ducklings. It was like her at the front, Lily and I behind her, like hanging onto each other's backs. And then it was like last 200 to go, and I was like, I could feel that Lily was kind of coming off of it a bit, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna send it. Because in the last 800 I ran, I think I waited till about 50 meters before the finish line to kick. Because I mean, you can't see the clock in an indoor track until you're right in front of it, because it's such a short.
Okay, yeah.
So my strategy for this race was you need to kick like with 1 lap to go, with 200 meters to go. So I took Lily, kicked on the last 200, and when I went through that line and saw the clock going to 2:13, I was like, what the hell? I have no words. I didn't know that I was capable of running that. I didn't know that I was that fit. And then my first thought was, oh my God, have I scored 4K? Have I got a medal? Like, what the hell? No, 3996. If I'd known that it was 3996, I would have run half a second quicker. But yeah, I said to Ellen, I was like, they need to have like a Hep point score calculator on like a big screen so you can see how fast you're running. Like, you know, at the Olympics, sometimes
Live
they do that.
updates.
They have live updates in the 800 with like your points based on how quickly you're running.
Yeah.
Still, 3996, I did not think I was capable of that. That adds 450 points, I think, to my pentathlon PB the previous season. Which, puts me in a good place for outdoors. If we carry on this trajectory, I should be able to add about 500 to my outdoor PB.
Love it. Love it. Of course you will. You will. Onwards and upwards from here.
Yeah.
Well, look, best of luck in Germany. That's where you've got to start it, right?
It's actually not even confirmed that we're going to this competition, which has given me a bit of anxiety. Rafa said it's almost certain, but don't book flights. And I'm going, oh, this is like my one opportunity to qualify for the Commonwealth Games. Like, we really have to go to this competition. But yeah, it should be fine. If not,
can you not do something else if you don't go to that though?
I think there's one in Switzerland the week after that could be a alternative competition. So, I mean,
and how does that work then, just for the people? Is that like, do you have to go to certain events to be able to compete and qualify and get your certain score, so on and so forth?
Not at the level I'm at. Like, for commies, you just need to get a legal score on outdoor heptathlon score. So I can do it at any competition for Jersey. I don't know if it works differently for different countries, but yeah, it's really annoyingly quite a close deadline of end of May. It gives you like no time at all. So that's why we're having to go abroad, because you're not finding a heptathlon before that in the UK.
No, sure.
Yeah. Good setup though. We're heading to
hopefully you get to go to Germany.
We're heading to warm weather training next Saturday, 2-week camp. Then I'm back in the office for 4 days, and then we go out to Germany. So it's like a prep camp.
Love it. Where's warm weather training?
Portugal. I've been frantically checking the weather forecast because groups have been out there in the last few weeks. Whilst we had the heat wave in London, it was actually colder in Portugal. So I'm like, it can't be like that whilst we're out. So I'm just like refreshing it every day. Like, please be sunny.
Love it. Love it. Okay, well, look, let's wrap up. And I've got to give you the question that came from Humphrey, who we did our last episode with. And then you've got to give us one for the next guest. I'm not actually sure who it is, so I can't give you like a clue on this one, unfortunately. Sometimes I can.
God, I wish you prepped me for this.
But the question from Humphrey was, what important truth do most people disagree with you on?
This is really hard. You might have to
We
do
don't do easy questions.
You might have to do some cutting of me going umming and ahhing. What important
We can do
truth?
plenty of that, don't worry.
What important
It'll just be
truth
really clunky.
do people not agree with me on?
Yeah, what important truth do most people disagree with you on? So something you believe in, you stand by, some habit, I don't know, anything.
It's going to be like not athletics related.
Okay.
All the fun happens before 1 a.m. I don't think anyone agrees with me on that.
Interesting. Interesting.
Everyone
No,
I say
because
that
it's funny
to
when you said that
does not
earlier.
agree.
Yeah, but have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, they say in that nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but similar.
And you can put an athletic spin on that. That's a great mentality to have if you're an athlete and you can't be staying up past 1 a.m. Nothing good happens after 1 a.m.
That's why.
I really wish
What
I
a
could
piece of
put a better
advice to end on.
answer, but I'm so sorry.
I think that's brilliant. We use that in the trailer.
Okay. What's my question?
Yeah, I was going to say, come on, question for the next person.
If you couldn't have your sport as your career and you had to go down any career route and money was not like in question, like how much you make, because if money was the thing, I would not be an architect, believe me. What career would you choose?
Love that. That's a good
Maybe we're
question. I
gonna
just
find
love
some
that line
secret
at the end.
architects. Maybe we'll find some secret architects that know the truth. The architects don't get paid.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Well, look, thank you very much. Best of luck in Germany, Switzerland, wherever it is. Yeah, fingers crossed for you for the Commonwealth. That would be absolutely amazing. Hopefully you'll be
Yeah,
able to do that.
hopefully. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I hope some of that was interesting.
Yeah, no, it was. I think this is the beauty of it, and it's what I like to try and do is I'm trying to sort of speak to, if you like, a wider range of people in this season. But the kind of the core of it is people exactly like yourself, trying to perform at the top levels of sport, but navigating life, work, everything else that it throws at us.
It
I
is a
think
bit
it's an
niche.
interesting, yeah, yeah.
I always get very excited when somebody Instagrams me and they're like, oh my god, I'm a heptathlete studying architecture as well. I was like, oh my god, there's more of us. I thought I was the only
It's
person.
growing, and whether it's athletics or like it's a big thing in Ironman as well, like age group athletes. Like there's so many sports now. There's more and more people that like want to take this seriously, but got a job, got a life, got responsibilities, and that is reality for a lot of us. But why not have some interesting people on who are trying to perform in their sport at the same time? It's some
Yeah.
interesting people out there.
I'm glad I'm an interesting person. That makes me happy.
There you go. Well, look, thank you very much. Enjoy the cinema.
Really?
And yeah, keep in touch. Good
Speaking to
luck.
me.